Welcome. This is going to be a first in my series on safety for women. This one is called How Not to Get Raped on the Subway. Now, if you're a guy and you're here, you have women in your life. So please stay and listen to what I have to say, and you can impart that wisdom to women you love. If you're a guy, some of these basic concepts apply to you too. So pay attention. Anyway, the reason I'm doing this one is I'm sure you all have heard by now about the horrible story coming out of, let's see, where is it? Philadelphia, about the woman who was raped on the metro by this guy who was harassing her for quite a while. And then he raped her. And there were people on that subway, and apparently nobody intervened. And some held up their cell phones and I don't know, took videos, but they haven't figured out how true that is yet, and the police are still investigating. Let me give you a quick rundown. And the reason I want you to understand this case is because it'll have a lot to do with what I'm going to tell you next. I had two situations myself quite recently on the metro, and I experienced concerning situations. And so I know what it feels like, and I want to tell you about my experiences and how to be safe on the subway, as safe as you can possibly be. So I want to read you a little bit about this incident and clear it up a little bit for you, because it's the media hasn't really made the media is the media. They half the time tell half the story. So anyway, a woman was raped on public transport train in Philadelphia last week. The riders held up their cell phones and pointed them in the direction of the sexual assault instead of calling 911. Officials are investigating whether they actually filmed the attack and how terrible all of this is. Anyway, this guy here, 35-year-old suspect, and I'm not sure I can say his name correctly, Fiston, Ngoy. I don't know if that's Ngoy or Ngoy. He was arrested on rape and assault charges. He listed his last address as a homeless shelter, remains in custody on $180,000 bail. So there were no calls made to 911 from the train. And they're still waiting. The police are still waiting to see actually if there were any made somewhere along the way, and they just haven't figured it out yet. The attack wasn't reported until a transportation authority employee saw what was happening. And I think that was right when the train was like pulling in to maybe the last couple places at their, a couple stations. So anyway, people are very, very upset. Now here's where it gets interesting. I'll call him Ngoy because that's the only way I know how to pronounce the name. Ngoy and the victim both got on the train at the same stop in North Philadelphia. An arrest affidavit states that Ngoy sat next to the woman about a minute after he boarded, shortly after 9:15 p.m., and he harassed her for around 40 minutes as she repeatedly pushed him away. Then surveillance video shows the man ripping the woman's pants down just before 10 p.m. Okay, so at that point, an officer waiting for the next station boarded the train. He saw what he thought was a criminal act, and he was the one that got the man off of her and pulled him onto the platform. And then that's how the guy got caught. Now, if you noticed in there, we're talking about 40 minutes. The guy was sitting next to her and harassing her. And you might say, well, why didn't she do something during that time? And so let's clear that up a little bit. Let me pull up the next piece of information on this. And then we'll get to the safety issue. All right. This guy said he recognized the woman and went over to speak to her. But the woman said she had never seen him before he sat next to her. So in other words, they both got on at the same place. He's claiming that he knew her. She's saying he didn't. Then she says, the alleged victim, and it's interesting here they put alleged, told police she remembered getting on the train and then nothing until the cops pulled her assailant off. She said she'd had several beers after work and got on the wrong train when Ngoy approached her. Well, that's a really strange story right there. You can't have 2 beers and forget 40 minutes. So I'm going to say something else is going on there, perhaps some kind of other substance abuse that you would not know what's going on for 40 minutes. This is what the video shows now. She repeatedly pushed Ngoy away as he attempted to touch her and at one point grabbed her breast, the video showed. Throughout this time, the victim is obviously struggling with keeping him off of her. So she is pushing him away, but maybe she's not altogether, if she's had way more than 2 beers or some other substance, she may just be doing this kind of thing, and pushing like that. Now, so the question is, what were the people on the train seeing? And this gets to be an issue because I don't know how many people were on the train. I don't know where they were actually seated. Did they think, maybe some of them saw the two come on together and they thought they were sitting together and they thought they were messing around because she apparently wasn't screaming, help, help, or anything like that. And it went on for so long, they're probably thinking, hey, maybe they're hanging out together. Maybe he's offering her some money. And because this was not the best part of town, shall we say. So I don't know what the people on the train were thinking, but I don't think they were thinking she was actually being raped. And then when somebody supposedly took videos. And again, I don't know if there's any truth to this because there's really no proof yet. But somebody's holding up their camera, taking a video. It may be because they actually think they're getting it on. Look what's happening on the train. That's my guess, because they actually still didn't realize the woman was being raped. So I'm not going to make a judgment on the woman, whether, the guy clearly did have sex with a woman on the train, and the video showed that she was pushing him away. So that now qualifies as a sexual assault. It qualifies as rape, and he was properly arrested. And the woman was properly a victim. Now, how she became a victim is a whole nother issue. And this is what I want to talk about with you today about getting on the metro train. Because it can be a dicey thing. It really can. You can end up on a train in a situation where you are alone with somebody you don't want to be alone with on that train. And it is very, very creepy. So I'm going to tell you 2 experiences I had just to show you how it all can happen. And then I'm going to explain all the best practices not to have this happen to you or get into a situation where something could happen to you. Now, just last Saturday, I was going to meet a friend in Washington, D.C., and the restaurant that we were eating at is right next to the metro station, which is on the exact line that if I drive, I think 10 minutes to the station, I can park, walk in, jump on the train, and within 20, 25 minutes, I'm right at that spot. I don't have to park downtown. It's great. Very easy. However, from that location downtown, coming back to where I live, goes through some areas of town that are a little sketchy, shall we say. So when I was going in, there were enough people on the train. So you step into the car and you see 8 people, 4 people, 3 people. I don't mean a gang. I'm talking about people spread out. So this is point number 1 for you. If you can, when you step onto into a subway car, try to pick a car that has a number of people in it in a number of different seats. Again, you don't want a gang. It's like, oh, look, the whole car is empty except those 8 dudes at the end. Don't go in that car. Look as they're coming by, and if you see a car that's got, two women sitting there and a woman and a man sitting there and another woman sitting over there, jump into that one. Go in that car. Don't go in an empty car, because when you go in an empty car, the creepy dude also sees you're in an empty car and he jumps in the empty car with you. So, at any rate, I was coming back, gotten on the car. And there were at that point, and this is the problem, again, I'm going to point out how this goes bad. When I started out coming out of Washington, D.C., the car had 6, 7, 8 people in it. By the next stop, it had 4 people in it. And the next stop, it had 3 people in it. Then it had 2 people I guess there were still 2 people and then this dude and me. So now we're down to less people in the car. The 2 people at the far end, and he was up near the front with me. He left his seat and came and sat next to me on the seat nearby. And he started chatting me up. And he was telling me he was from Liberia and he thought I was really attractive. And the dude's like in his 40s and, I'm in my 60s. So I'm like, okay. And he's like chatting me up. Hey, are you married? And he goes, are you married? I'm like, oh, geez, he's doing that thing. And I'm like, so he's starting the conversation. And I'm like, don't you want a boyfriend? And then I'm like, I'm not in the market for the boyfriend, you know. And then he goes, how about one time? And I'm like, yeah, now you're really super creepy, dude. Super creepy. So at that point, I said, you know, not okay to say that. And I got up and I walked back to where the other two people were sitting. Okay. So there's number one. That's something you really want to do. If somebody is near you who's acting inappropriately, get out of your seat and walk toward the other people. Now, again, this woman, unfortunately, she's sat there for 40 minutes and allowed the one man to paw on her before he actually raped her. So clearly she was, I mean, she had to be out of it, you know, physically out of it, under the influence of something, not to think she should get up at some point. And that's an important point, though. When you're near somebody and they start harassing you, get up and walk away to the people. Go toward other people. Because if you don't, then he can do whatever he wants in that end of the car. And people from the other side of the car may not even know what's going on. As you know, if he's able to control you and cover your mouth, people may just think that some boyfriend and girlfriend kiss him back there. They really may not know. Or these days, they may be afraid to intervene because they think they're going to get killed, that guy has a gun or he's got a knife. And maybe they will call 911, but you may already be raped by the time that happens. So if somebody starts harassing you, starts getting too friendly in a way that makes you uncomfortable, and you are isolated with them, get up and leave. Just say, dude, you stepped over the line. See ya, and get up and leave. You don't have to even be totally rude. You can even smile and say, that's not going to work with me, and get up and leave. Go someplace where there's people. Now, so I did that, and everything was okay. Now, let me tell you about another time I came back, and this got a little scarier. So I was coming back on the same line, and again, a bunch of people were on there when I got on, and as I got closer and closer to home, they started disappearing. Now, it got to the point where I was sitting there, and this other creepy dude was sitting there, and he started moving from the one end of the car, like moving up this way in the seats toward me. And I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, this is not good. I don't know if he wanted to rob me, wanted to rape me. I don't know. But the guy was concerning, scary looking dude. And he kept moving. As the people got off, they would get off, he would move up. They would get off, he would move up. And he was obviously paying attention to me. And so he was probably hoping I'd be the last one on that train. And quite frankly, I was the last one on that train. And so was he. So now I was stuck in the car with creepy dude, right? Here's what I did. I got up. At the next stop, I got up. And I got out of the train, and I went and got in a different car. And that way, at least I got myself away from him. And I watched to make sure he wasn't following me. If he had been following me, I would have gone straight to security. But he wasn't following me, so I just got in another car till we got to the end. Now, interesting, when we got to the end, he was still there. And I went down the subway, and as I was coming up to where that one lone dude was, because the security is terrible in these places, one lone dude sitting there, I walked up to that guy and said, look, I have a car in the garage, and I'll be damned if I'll walk anywhere toward that garage with this guy behind me. You need to hold that guy up, because he was following me on the train, and he's very concerning. So the guy did that. The security stepped out and went like that and took the guy over there and nodded to me and said, get out of here. And then I went to my car. Two very creepy experiences. So here is the problem of the trains, getting on a metro, is that you're trapped in those cars. You're trapped. So ideally, the best time to use the metro trains is during busy hours, where the car is never, ever empty, okay? Where you have people commuting and tourists, or wherever the heck you are. You got a lot of people. And there may be some sketchy people there, but then you got another 10, 15 other nice people, so that really does help. So if a guy gets friendly with you, you can just change seats and you're safe. If a guy I'm not going to say if the place isn't super crowded that some guy can't fill you up. I mean, that can happen. And then you just have to whack him one and walk away. But you're not going to be raped if you've got all the people around you. So traveling during this is one of my major points. Travel during times when the train is going to be pretty busy, because when you get to the end of the evening, you're in trouble. Now, if you're in certain areas, you can get on a metro at certain times in Washington, D.C. and go from one location to the other, like the last train, and there's still going to be people there from the very beginning to the very end. Lots of people. But I live in the suburbs, and let me tell you, it empties out. And almost every time I've ended up coming back late from a job I did in Washington, or just because I was out, hanging out with somebody and didn't want to drive in, I'm almost always one of the last, either the last person or one of the last two people. And it is not safe. And it is also not safe to walk to your vehicle, because it's pretty damn creepy to go to your vehicle and you're the only car left in the garage, or you're in that car that's really far away in the lot. So personally, I would say if you're not working, and you're forced into a situation where you don't have an option, you have to go to that job and you don't have a vehicle, or you can't drive in, if you can avoid going at times that are questionable, I would say avoid going at times that are going to be, if you're in an area where you're going to be the last person on the train, try not to do that. So that's number one. Number two, move away. The minute somebody starts creeping you out, move toward other people. And number three, if they're that creepy and you're the only one on the train, get the hell off the train. When the door is open, get out, jump into another car or go to security, but move. Don't just stay there, because as soon as the doors close again, it's just the two of you. And sometimes it's a long haul between one station and the next, a long enough haul to be attacked. So if you have that inkling, something says, this guy is not safe to be around, get off the train. If you just even going to that other car, I mean, you put distance between yourself and that creepy dude, and that gives you a better chance at not being harmed than if you sit around waiting for something to happen to you. So those are the three major things. Travel at busier times. If a guy's creepy, go toward the other people in the car quickly, get out of your seat and walk away. And thirdly, get off the train if you need to get off the train and go to security or jump in another car. Oh, and another thing that's really important, is if some guy corners you and you're back there, you want to scream out something people know is actually means you're getting raped. In other words, if you go, oh, no, they might think you're just playing around with the dude. Because I hate to say it, people don't want to admit it, but hey, people have sex on trains. They do. They have sex in parks. They have sex all over the place. They have bad behavior. And sometimes you see things like that going on. And most time people just go, oh, I'm trying not to see that. So, Mister, get off of me. Mister, get off of me. Help. Mister, get off of me. Mister is not somebody you know. That's something you might shout out. Oh, call the police. Call 911. Mister, this man is attacking me. Say something. Don't just go, say something clear to the people if you can. But try not to let that guy get near you. And then if he does, fight like hell and try to get him off of you. And hopefully somebody will step in on the car stops. Somebody will come in. One more thing. Try not to be at the ends of the car. Try to be, where the doors open up. You can get out. If you're at the end of the car, the guy can block you from coming through. And yes, there is that door between the cars, but they're not that easy to deal with. So, you want to be at a place where you can remove yourself. I usually stay right at where the doors open. It's easier to get out anyway. I mean, it's my stop. I just jump up and jump onto the platform rather than having to walk down the car. So stay away from hidden ends where people can, those back places, don't go there. So stay in the middle of the car. Those are just some suggestions I want to give to you, because I saw this horrible incident and, and it is, those two incidents I had, and they're fairly recent, were very creepy incidents. And I'm not a young girl, and why is this 40-year-old dude interested in me? Well, because he thinks one time he can get off of me, because I'll be desperate, he's cute enough, right? I'll go with him. And maybe he wasn't intending to rape me. Maybe he's just trying to get himself a quickie date. You know what I mean? But the other guy that was on the train with me is very concerning. So please follow those rules that I have given you today, and I think you'll be a lot safer. And give those rules to any other women you know. And if you're a guy, hey, you got to be careful when you get on trains too, especially if you're not the biggest guy in the world. You never know. So stay again where there's people. Not gangs, but people, that's where you're safest. And so try to always aim toward that. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up tonight because I thought it was a really important thing to do. So I hope it helps. See you soon.